Hello, and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today's episode is called The Bizarre Personal Lives of Billionaires. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so make sure you click on the notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. I'd also like to tell you about HollywoodIsCalling.com. It's a great service that allows you to purchase live phone calls from your favorite celebrities. There are more than 100 celebrities to choose from, and the calls start out at just $19.95. So give it a try. HollywoodIsCalling.com. Now, let's get started. If you think that the way everyday people are behaving now is completely insane, then wait till you find out how billionaires are behaving in their personal lives these days. Suddenly, the insanity you see out on the streets is going to pale in comparison to what billionaires are doing behind closed doors, or when they think nobody knows or nobody is watching. Before we tell you what billionaires are doing in their personal lives, there's one thing that you will have to accept, and that is that the world we live in today bears no resemblance to the world as it existed 2 or 3 years ago. The level of chaos, dysfunctionality, criminality, insanity, bizarreness, and freakish behavior has now soared to new heights. And most of the time, it's not being defined, it's not being exhibited by poor or middle class people. The craziest behavior out there is being exhibited by the ultra wealthy. Another important thing to make a note of is that the image that most billionaires have been presenting to the public is a lie. It's a complete and utter fabrication, and a preposterous one at that. Now, I'm not saying there aren't a few billionaires who are still halfway normal, but the majority of them are just, I don't want to say criminally insane, but their behavior could be, interpreted as criminal in a lot of jurisdictions. That's how crazy it's become. So let's start with their finances. Our sources are telling us that the financial statements of many billionaires are almost entirely fiction, complete misrepresentation, and constructed from the first page to the last to simply try and defy the tax laws in various nations and jurisdictions. Many billionaires are now so broke and pretending not to be that I think a lot of them are simply just hanging on by their financial fingertips. Generally speaking, when a billionaire goes broke, it usually means that they're down to their last $100 million. And they've probably hidden that somewhere offshore or purchased an expensive asset, which they've placed in somebody else's name. So whenever you see a billionaire going bankrupt, it doesn't mean much at all. It's just a shuffling of corporate entities and smoke screens and accounting tricks. That's all. Broke to a billionaire doesn't mean penniless. It just means they're worth only 5 or 6% of what they used to be worth a few years ago. And now, they're doing their best to hang on however they can. Some of them hide their money with other people or their relatives. Some of them acquire major assets, in preparation for going bankrupt, and then they just hide those assets for the rainy day. Well, that rainy day has arrived now for a lot of these guys. The pandemic has blown the financial brains out of so many billionaires that, it's panic time out there. So what are these billionaires doing? Well, some of them are hiding their money in cryptocurrency and hiding those crypto keys in very secret locations. When it comes to hiding crypto, for a lot of these people, these billionaires who've fallen on hard times, cryptocurrency has been like a godsend. because it's so much easier for them to conceal their wealth and their assets with crypto than it is with some of the old school methods and techniques that their accountants used to engage in back in the day. Now, let's move on to the personal lives of most billionaires. There is something very strange that seems to happen to the brains of human beings once they become a billionaire. Not all of them, but many of them. They seem to feel that they deserve to live life any way they want because their wealth allows them to reside outside of the rules, outside of the law. They feel that the laws of the universe no longer applies to them. That usually means that they have a long list of mistresses or boyfriends or party friends that they like to secretly hang out with when they're not with one of their spouses. And when I say one of their spouses, I say that because you would be amazed at how many of these super wealthy are married to more than one individual. What's really interesting is how often the spouses will tolerate all of this because it's been going on for so long. And they have to decide, should they tolerate this nonsense and just go on with their lives as they currently are, so they can keep enjoying that incredible lifestyle and quality of life, or should they walk away? If any recent headlines have taught us anything about the super rich, it's that their spouses will not only tolerate almost anything, but will often engage in the same bizarre behavior after a few years pass by. Some of them do it for vengeance. Some of them do it out of weakness. Some of them just because they have no integrity. Now, you have to feel sorry for the kids because this creepy behavior of the parents is all they've ever witnessed, all they've ever been around. You have to wonder about how they will conduct their lives someday. In most cases, the kids will go one of two ways. After seeing the insanity that their parents have been engaging in for years and years, the kids will either rebel against it and get very conservative and start trying to live their lives in a really normal way, or they'll go completely nuts and start behaving even crazier than their parents. If that happens, it's usually only a matter of time before they're hooked on drugs and criminal behavior and God knows what else. The next thing we've noticed about some of these billionaires is how whacked out and crazy and criminal some of the people they cheat with or date or subsequently marry are. It is disturbing. I've never met a mistress or a secret girlfriend of a billionaire and thought, oh, this is going to really last. This is going to be a keeper. She seems normal, really normal and sane and trustworthy. You never get that impression. And there are a lot of reasons for that. Most of the time, billionaires like to pursue illicit relationships with people they can completely control and dominate. And the best people to control and dominate are people who are so compromised that their options are limited. That's why you see a lot of these lunatics dating drug addicts or dating strippers or falling in love with the hookers or just, some lunatic who started working for them as a nanny. And one day they decided to smoke a joint together and boom, they're both off to the races. Most of the time that you meet these people, after a 5-minute conversation, you have to ask yourself, what mental institute, brothel, or crack house was this person born in? These girlfriends and these mistresses, they're usually really good looking and completely disconnected from reality. I'll tell you what else is interesting, and that is that the crazier they are, the more in love the billionaire boyfriend or girlfriend is with them. When I describe them as insane, that word is not being used as an insult. It's being used as an objective observation. These people are completely nuts. I'll give you an example. One billionaire supermodel-looking girlfriend, whenever she joins a conversation at a party, she always reaches over, I should say, and caresses the private parts of the person she's talking to in full view of everybody in the room. That's essentially her way of saying hello. That's her handshake. Now, most normal people start a conversation by simply saying hello. Not this girl. What's funny was that she loved doing it to couples, and they would just smile or giggle and brush it off as eccentricity. In a strange way, she was almost famous for behaving this way. It actually became a thing at parties. The next thing that's getting crazier than ever is the level of criminality and fraud that some billionaires are engaging in now to prevent themselves from going completely broke. There was a guy at one party, and he decided to conduct an experiment, a social experiment. So he walked up to the various billionaires at the party, and he would start a casual conversation about something benign like sports or a movie that came out recently. And then he would bring up this business opportunity, and he would talk about how incredibly lucrative it was and what great potential it was. He'd say it's not legal, but the return on the investment would be unbelievable. So everybody's watching, and not one of the billionaires was offended by the question, the offer of an illicit or illegal business proposal. The only thing they wanted to know was, what is the return on investment and what is the risk? It's amazing that was the only consideration, the only question they had. So the next time you see a billionaire on TV or in person and you start fantasizing about how great it would be a billionaire, just remember a modest, well-lived life is worth infinitely more than the life of a billionaire that has descended down to the 7th level of hell and insanity. Thank you for watching. And I want to tell you that we're going to have more great celebrity interviews coming up in the future. So make sure you subscribe to our free channel and click on the notification bell so you can get notified every time we post a new episode. Thank you for watching, and we shall see you soon. Bye-bye.